For my birthday this year, my wife gave me the gift of coming into the shop and organizing some of the disaster so I could get at projects that were at the top of my list, like this table saw. I bought this used and it was mounted in the table as you see, but it's turned 90 degrees the wrong way and it just was not all that great to work with. So I took it out and I reattached one of the side panels there, the side tables, and then I built a new stand for it so that it would end up at the exact same height as the workbench. And I'm attaching little filler pieces to the inside there so that the dust collection setup can sit right in there and will be just the right size. And this is all still scrap lumber that I'm working with, which is kind of fun. Now that the table's built, I'm going to take my router and cut a 1/2 inch wide and 1/2 inch deep rabbet around the edge of 3 of the faces of the cube so that I can let in a piece of plywood that will just be trapped in the side, and we'll make it look like a rectangular solid. So I'm using the oscillating tool to finish off the round, square off the round corners so that the square piece of plywood will fit right in there. The oscillating tool works great. This is shop furniture, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but it ends up looking pretty clean. And if you fit nice square pieces of plywood in there, nice and tight, then it ends up helping square up the workpiece in the end, because I'm going to put 3 of these in. And it's just glue and a few pin nails to hold it in. Here goes face number 2. Another nice snug fit. Nail it off. And here's face number 3 here. And it's going to start looking complete here in a minute. Got to reload the gun using all the leftover nails of any size that's long enough to hold these pieces in. Now I'm using the router to cut a hole for the dust extraction. It was one of the smallest holes I've done with a router, so it was a little bit of a trick, but there's the fit. And now the table saw is mounted and it works. The surface is at the correct height, so the workbench works now as an outfeed table. And I'm just going to place some cleats on 3 sides of the saw, and then this little toggle piece of wood here that will hold it in, but I can easily slide this saw out to the left. And now I'm going to start cutting some pieces for drawers. There'll be 2 drawers in the front of this piece. And already I've reinstalled both the left and the right table saw wing. I have refinished and waxed the surface, and the saw is just working so much better already. I'm really excited. So here I'm at the chop saw. I don't have a chop saw station built yet. And so I'm using a stop block. You can see it held on there with a clamp, and I was tapping the workpiece with my mallet to get it exactly in the right spot. Once it was clamped down, I can make final adjustments with that little mallet. So all my pieces are cut to the exact same length. Cutting a fresh edge on that one, slide it down, cut it to length. Next step is to take the drawer pieces over to the router table, which was a project from about a year ago, and cut a rabbet into each end so that the fronts and backs fit against the sides, and then to cut a rabbet in the bottom to receive the bottom of the drawer that recesses in. So I run all those pieces through, and then I get to assemble the drawers. Now the top drawer is going to have to accommodate this dust collection situation. So what I decided to do was to make the drawer box only in the front of the drawer and to have the sides of the drawer reach all the way back. You'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm moving that stop block there to slowly widen the cut so that it makes a rabbet the same width as the plywood that's going to be the back of the drawer. So here's the assembly of that. Front of the drawer is going on, glue, nails, and then you can see about 8 inches back there, you got that rabbet that's going to receive the back of the drawer, and then the drawer sides will extend all the way to the back of the box. This, I think, will make sense in a minute. We're going to put the bottom of the drawer in. And again, nice square piece that fits nice and tight. We'll square up the drawer for you. Tap that in there. Wipe off the excess. Hold it in place with a few brads. And here's what the drawer box looks like. It's a small top drawer. Now the slides are going in. This is the fun part. So I'm using a piece of scrap to locate the left-hand slide there. Just gonna put a couple of screws in the back, one screw in the front, just to get it all situated. Then I'll use the same piece of scrap on the other side and put the slide in, screw in the front, and then I'm going to use the deck of cards trick. I got about 14 cards in each stack to keep the bottom of the drawer off the bottom of the box, just to get enough clearance. I'm going to slide that forward gently. I'm going to put the front of the slide where it needs to go, attach my first screw. Same thing on the other side. Gently slide the drawer out, put in screw number 2, and look at that, it's beautiful. Second drawer slides are going in. Decided they needed to be an inch above the drawer box, the bottom drawer box, and that was going to give me enough clearance and keep it all below that dust extraction tube there. So same scraps, that's 2 scraps of 1/2-inch ply. There goes the second slide. And then you'll see, once I get those screws in and get my shoulder out of the way, you'll see what I've done to the drawer itself is I tapered the sides there so that there would be plenty of clearance in the back and they would work their way around that dust extraction tube. There's a 1/2-inch clearance block, those 2 pieces of plywood there. Same trick here. Slide the drawer out carefully, locate the front of the slide, attach it to the drawer. Same thing on the right side, or my left side. Then you got to pull the drawer out to put the 3rd screw in the back, and then put the drawer back in, and look at that. I decided to make handles because I didn't have handles lying around. What I did have lying around was some hardwood scraps that came out of some cabinets that we pulled out, and so I just drew a handle shape on that, stuck them together so I could cut the rough shape out of both at the same time. Stuck them together with double-sided tape, and my bandsaw blade was a little too thick to cut that inner radius, so I just made a bunch of thin cuts there and then cut those pieces off. A few minutes at the sander, and then I pulled them apart. I took them over to the router table and I rounded off all of the edges on the handles, and I rounded off the edges on those drawer fronts as well. You may not be able to tell, but the left side's the top of the top drawer and the bottom of the bottom drawer, so that those edges are all smooth. And I located where the handle goes on the door front, and then I used those holes to drill through the front of the door box, and now I'm attaching the handle to the front there. And there goes drawer number 1. Similar process for number 2. I'm using the card trick again to get a little clearance for the front drawer. And now attaching handle number 2. And it's just going in with a regular wood screw, and I had to switch sides because I'm better with my right hand. And there are the 2 drawers. 2 coats of water-based polyurethane, which I had also put on the box. I didn't mention that, but I'm now putting it on the drawer fronts. And there's the finished project. Thanks for watching.